Well, hello, rugby fans. I'm Gareth Reese, and welcome to the Vault here in the DHL Clubhouse, courtesy of our logistics partners, DHL. We're delighted to be bringing you some old games, some Rugby Canada from back in the day, and we're going to go all the way back to 1991 and the Rugby World Cup quarterfinal. I'm delighted to be joined by Al Sharon. Played in that game, obviously, World Rugby Hall of Famer, and now still, I guess, a pinnacle for the men's 15 side to be in that quarterfinal game, and a pretty important game for all of us.
Absolutely, Gareth. It was fond memories to play in that World Cup and play with that very, very special squad of Canadian players, and to go up against a legendary All Black side in a quarterfinal match was a real thrill for all of us, and we certainly went out there with the idea of to win. I'm just hoping maybe, Gareth, that 29 years later the end result will be different.
Fair enough. We'll get to some of the details of that All Blacks team and what happened. But let's set it up. First of all, Canada played all their pool games in France, beaten Romania and Fiji out of the gates, and had a really tough match against France and gave them a scare. But it was a team, Al, that had been together for some time and had results, had beaten Argentina home and away the year before, had beaten Scotland. So it was a team that had played some decent rugby. So not a total surprise they were made to the quarterfinal.
Yeah, absolutely, Gareth. I mean, we had a real confidence about the side. We went in there with I believe a 7 or 8 game winning streak going in before we came up against France. Take away the first 10 minutes of the French side and the French game, I should say, and I think we win that game. So, we were out to prove to everyone that we could play rugby in Canada, and I think we showed the world that we did.
And just building on that, head coach Ian Burtwell had taken the team over from Gary Johnson, who'd done some great work getting us to the 87 Rugby World Cup. And 91 was a team, from my experience, really, really hard men, very proud Canadians. It was pretty neat to stand there in the rain in Lille, it must be said, knowing that we were going to face the haka, but with that group of men in the red jerseys. Let me set the stage a little bit on the conditions. We did move up to Lille in northern France. Awful, awful conditions. We were playing in the Stade Municipal in Lille. It was a soccer stadium, which was pretty rare back then to play rugby in soccer stadiums. And Al, as you remember, it was raining, and there must have been at least 2 inches of water sitting on that field as we were warming up, trying to get ready.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if you look at the game initially, if you just look at the surface, it doesn't look too bad until you see actually guys sliding across it. The water on the field was amazing. It certainly made it more memorable for people remembering that game because of the way the conditions we were playing. But yeah, it was something to behold for sure.
A couple other things to note. Obviously, for you youngsters out there, there's some law changes which make some of the pile-ups and the rucks pretty different. The ball seems to get away a bit quicker. So keep your eye on that. Obviously, we were wearing black armbands as well, which was another great story of that day. Scott Hubeck, a very promising young player out of BC. We'd lost him just before this tournament, and it was a 1-year anniversary of his passing. So the team got together and we had the black armbands on, and it was a great day. We'd been a story that's been told a little bit, but Al, but your perspective, having been in northern France and somewhat disgruntled, having been on the road for a long time, the team went up to Vimy Ridge, obviously, where Canada's forces in the First World War did some amazing things and some parallels, although life and death was in their case and ours was only a rugby match. But our team took a lot from that experience of visiting Vimy Ridge.
Absolutely, Gareth. I mean, everyone to a man, and certainly myself, we were always proud Canadians, but we were that much more proud to have gone to Vimy Ridge and visited this sacred ground. It was a very moving experience. For me, it's one of my experiences playing rugby for Canada that off the field, it was one of my favorite, and I'm so fortunate to have been able to visit Vimy Ridge now twice. And it's a moving experience, and I would recommend any Canadian if you're over in France to make a trip there and take it in, because it's very moving. I came back and bought Pierre Burton's book and read it within a couple of days. It was just that
literary recommendation from Al Sharon, everyone. But I do remember that we were a pretty grumpy side, having been on the road, and guys were complaining the water was too wet and the salt was too salty. But once we saw the conditions that our Canadian soldiers were living in at Vimy, it kind of put it back in perspective, and I think it set us up well to face the mighty All Blacks. And we had a lot of support. I know there were 6 tour buses came over from London, where the High Commission and the Embassy have been really supportive of us. Al, what was your memories just before kickoff there and the support that was around for Canada in their first ever Rugby World Cup quarterfinal?
Well, it was actually pretty cool because it seemed like I'd say maybe 80%, 90% of the stadium was cheering for Canada in France. That was really neat. And for me, it was somewhat early in my career. I hadn't really played in the stadium where, for the most part, the majority of the crowd was cheering for a Canadian side. So to have that added support behind you playing against the All Blacks, much needed and much appreciated.
Well, it was a great game. We look forward to sharing some other ideas with you and our observations. So we're live tweeting. There you go. Just below, send us a note. We'd love to hear from you. This is Canada versus the New Zealand All Blacks. Thank you for DHL for helping us bring you these games. We're going to throw you over to the ITV coverage way back from old school back in the day. But Al, thanks for your comments. Let's look forward to chatting during the game. And to everyone on the front line, thanks for all your support as we're all at home watching these games. And thank you to DHL. Enjoy.
And Gareth, and if I might just add that to the young fans out there, you might recognize a skinny Gareth and an Al Sharon with hair. So look out for that one as well.
There you go.
Maybe a skinny Al Sharon as well.
A look at the New Zealand team. There are 3 changes from that which played Italy last week. Number 15, Timu, comes in for the injured Terry Wright. And in the forwards, you see number 7, Paul Henderson, and number 9, Graham Bishop coming in. The Canadians have made 4 changes from their last match, and when they went so very well against France. The Canadians opened their tournament beating Fiji 13-3. They beat Romania 19-11, and they lost narrowly to France 19-13. They've had a fantastic season in rugby, a marvellous year, and this is the culmination of a great year for them, but they've got to pass through the New Zealanders. The haka, the Maori challenge from New Zealand. Well, a ferocious haka done by Inga Tuigamala, the popular winger with the New Zealand team. The big leap at the end signals the challenge, the Maori challenge laid down by the New Zealand team to their Canadian opponents. Some lovely touches from Polynesia in the war dances of New Zealand, Western Samoa and Fiji at these championships. So we're all set for this quarter-final in the Rugby World Cup 1991. Referee Fred Howard begins it in a packed house at Lille, and that's a sight we may see a lot of as Gareth Rees collects the ball and kicks, reclaimed by Zinzan Brook from New Zealand. At the 22 metres line, we may see a kicking game from Canada. The Canadian team here have a strong forward pack. They haven't used so much of their backs, but they've got the biggest pack at the World Cup. That's a good beginning they've made. Today's match being controlled by Fred Howard, and that'll be of vital bearing on the game as we looked at Chris Tynan, number 4, number 9, the halfback. So first scrum. The big pack from Canada is probably the biggest here. Tynan away to Rees. Gareth Rees kicks to touch, his 17th test match. Some of these Canadians come from clubs with beautiful names. He's from the Oak Bay Castaways. Mark Wyatt from the Velox Valhorlians. There's a number of others as well, the Britannia Lions. Looking down the line near halfway to the left. Sean Fitzpatrick to throw. It's taken by Alan Wetton. We're told the Canadian players are wearing black armbands as a mark of respect for the anniversary of the death of the Canadian player Scott Hubrick. So that's a wonderful gesture by the Canadian players. Number 1 in the front row is Eddie Evans. You can see that Canada is the bigger pack by nearly 30 kilograms of prime beef. The hooker is David Spears. Tynan, surface water on the field at that part of the ground. Big pass from Chris Tynan. Well, New Zealand pushed ahead of the marks, and then they did a bit of back chat. And referee Fred Howard from England has given them a free kick. The bent arm means they can't kick for goal. Here he is going in on the replay from the other side of the field. And there's the kick down to a fair catch taken by Zinzan Brook, number 8. Wayne Shelford, what have you thought of those the first scrum confrontation?
Well, the first couple of scrums, the All Blacks have been putting a lot of pressure on the Canadians, and they're having trouble putting the ball in. But I think the referee, Howard, actually blew them up for actually twisting the scrum and pushing early.
Grant Fox, number 10. Norm Hadley, number 5, took a swish at somebody. And the referee tells him to get on with it. Fox has finally come out the other side and disappeared out the back. New Zealand are in control here. Graham Basham, the halfback, is kicking. Ennis, number 8. Halfway line. The 13 is Christian Stewart. Tynan away to Reese. Reese kicking for position. New Zealand's new fullback, John Timu. And he skied his first kick off the right foot, a long way downfield, but didn't find touch. Gareth Reese, a very big kicker of the ball. He's got the deflection. McDowell for New Zealand. Basham, this is the settling down period of the play. Ennis has fumbled a pass. Gord McKinnon has claimed it for Canada. Well set up by Canada. Here is Tynan. Vandenbrink. Look at all the water there. Marvellous charge by the Canadian pack. Tynan. He's very close to the line. What a marvellous surge by Canada in the opening moments. Only 4 minutes gone, and Canada making their mark on the game with this marvellous forward surge. But the thing is, we hadn't noticed looking up from the stands beforehand just how much water there is on the field. It may be a factor in the game with slipping and sliding. Let's look now as Chris Tynan, the halfback, puts in. Number 8 is Ennis, got bustled by Basham. A knock on by Glenn Ennis. It's a put in for New Zealand, a chance to relieve the pressure. The front row's in confrontation there. Let's have a look at this scrum. It's a New Zealand defensive ball. They'll kick for clearance here. The flanker broke off. That's Al Sharon. Penalised. Grant Fox kicks. And that's an easing of the pressure up to halfway. Let's bring in former All Black Earl Curtin. What have you thought the first 5 minutes?
Well, it's a big Canadian scrum, as you suggest. Whether they can keep it going for 80 minutes, we will want to see. But what a tremendous effort by those forwards. A tremendous push and drive. I was surprised at how good they were.
Ian Jones jumping against Hadley, two the big men there. There's big Norman Hadley. He played for a season in western suburbs in New Zealand. Number 11 is Steve Gray, the left winger. There's Paul Henderson making a tackle. Alan Wetton. He's had some rather indifferent form at the Cup, Alan Wetton, and he's some big boots flying in there, and that's against Richard Lowe for indiscriminate use of the boot, and Fred Howard is onto him. Let's look at the replay there. Look for Richard Lowe going in there, jumping in number 3, you see, rucking the man back. The ball was nearby, but referee Howard said that was dangerous. Yeah, he said not after the whistle either. He doesn't mind rucking. He just told Lowe but not after the whistle. So it was a sort of a late stamping. Is there such a thing, Earl Curtin?
It's pretty hard to stop if you're in the air.
Fitzpatrick, a quick throw to his captain, Gary Wetton, away to Fox, running it through the backs to the left boot of Craig Innes. Mark Wyatt is number 15, Canada's star player. And he gets a flat kick away. New Zealand have come on to hot attack here. There is Mark Wyatt. What a player he's been for the Canadians over the years. The 30-year-old, he had a season here in France, and he's a very fine fullback indeed. Now, Fitzpatrick looking for the ball to throw in. Here's a chance for New Zealand to put real pressure on.
Yes, out of your picture, they're very deep, the All Black back line, so there's obviously a move on for the backs if they can win the line-out.
There they are, standing deep in that beautiful aerial shot we have there. Fitzpatrick throws. Gary Wetton is getting up. He started the game well as well as his brother. McCahill, the ball is a bit slippery. Back they go to the 22. Bernie McCahill. Straight to Alan Wetton. Haven't the Wettons made a good beginning to this game? The two brothers celebrating Gary Wetton's 56th international. Fox is trying the high bomb. Gray is number 11. Picked up by Innes. Timu. John Timu, the fullback, the brand new fullback, is in for the try. Look at this. There was a lot of water and splash. A loose ball claimed by Innes. Down went Timu. He got up straight away and he dived in for the try. And I guess that's exactly the job the All Blacks wanted him to do, to come outside the wingers. Here's the ball coming down with Kerwin pressurising Steve Gray. Claimed by Innes. Rolled his pass to Timu. Slipped in the water. Got up again. And as a cross. 4-0.
Now, you never know. That might have been planned, the slip over. But who knows?
The kicker is Grant Fox. Super kick from the sideline. New Zealand the 6, Canada 0 after 9 minutes of play. What a lovely kick this is by Fox. It's a slippery ball. Conditions are wet underfoot, which wouldn't help his approach, and it just creeps across the crossbar. Great kick, 6-0.
Well, that's the start New Zealand wanted, to try and psychologically put pressure on the Canadians. But boy, they're a big pack.
There's the kick out by Mark Wyatt. Short. A penalty against Steve McDowell, number 1. He made no attempt to go for the ball. He stood there and blocked the Canadians coming through, and that's a penalty chance. Mark Wyatt's trotting forward. It's probably worthwhile having a shot at goal from out there. Well, that was a bad mistake. It was quite a blatant error there. This is Ian Birtwell, the Canadian coach, sitting in the stand, and I think that he would agree that that's worth a shot at goal.
He's a very methodical man, Birtwell. He gives each player after each game about 6 pages of foolscap on their good points and their poor points. I don't know how he finds time to write out 6 pages for every man in the team, but that he does.
"11 minutes gone. Mark Wyatt trying to close the gap. He's hit it well. That's just under the bar. Touchdown. Restart at the 22. Kicked into midfield. It's a skiddy ball. Gareth Rees kicks up to Fox, taking no chances. Now Wyatt bringing it forward. That's a little punt into midfield. Now it's bounced to the Canadian team. Vandenbrink, Tynan. Oh, lovely run by Stewart. Rees kicking out wide for Scott Stewart, number 14. And Fox gets across and finds his touch that time. Yes, Grant Fox might well be annoyed at himself. He should have found his touch on the near side.
Well, that's one of the difficulties with being a right footer kicking down the right-hand touch. A lot of the balls don't go out, but the Canadians counter-attack very, very well then.
Up go the hands. That's the corner flag. Inga Tuigamala with the new flash. Their hairdo looks like he's something out of the Foreign Legion here.
Well, Arnold Schwarzenegger, isn't it?
52, 83, 91, Winnipeg!
Interference there on one of the players in the line-out. Yeah, another thing that was an inspired choice by the New Zealand selectors, Earl Curtin, was picking Paul Henderson when the selectors obviously knew the weather would be as bad as it is.
Yes. They're obviously predicting, they've got a long-range weather forecast. They predicted some typical Otago weather. They won't like me much in Otago for saying that's typical, raining. He's just the man for the day.
Dave Spears throws. Paul Henderson is number 7. He's known in New Zealand as a number 7 player with a lot of skills when the ball is a bit slippery. And Henderson, you see him down the back there jostling with his marker, Gord McKinnon. And away goes another kick by Fox. This one is not designed to find touch. It's designed to get Canada to put it out so New Zealand can get the throw in. And that's what's happened. So there's a couple of things going to plan there from the New Zealand team. I sense a more vigorous opening in the game by the two Wetton brothers, Alan and Gary. A lot of people have been commenting that they haven't been imposing themselves on the game as much as they're capable of, number 5 and number 6 for New Zealand. But they've been featuring prominently in the first 14 minutes of this game. That's the 22-metre line. Vandenbrink back between his legs.
Well, that was rather ominous. Wetton took the ball cleanly and no one covered him up fast enough. In other words, the other All Blacks didn't get round quickly enough to make sure that they secured possession. And they lost the ball.
Gareth Rees, number 10, educated at Harrow School. Coached by Roger Utley there for a season.
He was obviously coached by a forward because he kicks a lot.
Son of an English mother and a Welsh father. Born in Canada, though. Graham Basham. His brother turned out for Western Samoa here. Scott Stewart. And a bit of a tussle there with Inga Tuigamala. Scott Stewart, who came to this World Cup thinking he wouldn't get a game because he's mostly been a fullback, and he thought he'd be a substitute for Mark Wyatt, but he's played very well. They've put him up in the wing today after he played a very good opening game at fullback. Alan Wetton's tidied that up. It's kicked away from Basham. Fox fumbled. And
There were 2 knock-ons there. So the first one, ball goes Canada's way.
6 points to 0. 15 minutes gone first half. Chris Tynan. Rees into his opposite number. By Fitzpatrick. Zinzan Brook puts a little skiddy kick through. Wyatt behind the 22 so he can kick directly to touch. Hasn't found it. John Timu to Fox. Wayne Shelford, you like what you're seeing?
Well, I think both teams have been testing themselves out against each other up front especially, and there has been a lot of kicking. I believe there was going to be a lot of kicking, especially with the wet ball. But I think we will see a lot more knock-ons in the game because of the slippery conditions, and I think it's going to turn into very much of a kicking game and putting pressure on. Both teams have been playing very well.
New Zealand in possession here. Again, Alan Wetton with his head up and calling for the direction the maul will drive away to. That's hard driving by New Zealand there. Basham out to Fox. The bomb again. Who's back for it? Wyatt's getting back, but there's a strong attack from Cahill. Tynan is caught. Carried back, 5-metre scrum. Good kick by Fox, coming down right close to the goalpost. Wyatt going high for the jump. So was McCahill, number 12, and only Tynan was there to save.
Possibly a good time to use a lefto move right here because they have got a big blind. Tuigamala, very hard to stop, very close to the line.
Lefto move, of course, is the one that moves to the left side. That's up towards the top to the left as we look at it now. One pass to the number 8 to the halfback, end of the wing. Let's see what they do. It is going towards the left, but with a little delay. McCahill gets there.
Well, it was better than the left, though.
It's the old mid-Canterbury move. We actually pulled that in the World Cup in 87. We used that in the World Cup, and Warwick Taylor actually scored a beautiful try on the day we used that one.
And there it is again. Out to McCahill. McCahill charging for the line, and over he goes. That's the second try for New Zealand. They're up to 10-0. There's a little delay in dummy run by Graham Basham. The purists of the game probably don't approve. Zinzanbrook passes to McCahill. McCahill's in. They were further out watching Inga, the winger. Now, this is Alex Wiley. You won't see much different in his facial expression. We've been looking at it in New Zealand for about 20-odd years, and it never changes much. But I'm sure that inside he'll be satisfied with the 10-point advantage they have now at the end of the first quarter of the game. And it could be more with the kick to come. Fox has done it again. It's a 12-point advantage for Ian Birtwell and the Canadian team to consider. Marvellous goal kicker, Grant Fox. Superb record he's fashioned. Last week he became the third man past 500 points in Test rugby. And there is the score. Nouvelle-Zélande 12, Canada 0. Hadley has taken this ball in. He's number 5. To Reese. That's a long ball which Timu will claim and have plenty of time to take it. He takes no chances at all by claiming a fair catch. Everybody's got to go back behind him. And probably ideally it wasn't to the best place to take it, but this is a young guy thrown in to the fullback's role. He's a winger normally, and with injury to Terry Wright and Shane Philpott, he's got the job today, and he was way back on his own but still claimed the fair catch. And will now find touch. He's made a good beginning, hasn't he?
Yes, he has. But then it's very easy, I think, in a modern-day winger because they spend so much of their time back as one of the fullbacks anyhow. So he's had loads of practice.
Johnny Timu started off very well as fullback, and he's come into the line a couple of times, and he's done the job he's been put there to do, and he's playing very well.
Gary Wetton. That's Glenn Ennis. Gareth Reese. Eddie Evans is number 1. 10-metre mark, New Zealand territory. Canada need points. Oh, it's accidentally offside. Played off a man's foot into a Canadian player in front by accident. A scrum, and New Zealand put in.
Good tackle. Big hit there by Henderson.
Again, we've got our forwards lined up there. We've got a big blind side. Now's the time to use Johnny Timu coming down the blind, but we can deliberately set up second phase play from the blind sides.
Basham kicks, slips over. Steve Gray. He's lost the ball forward. That'll be advantage applying. You see the referee's arm signalling it at halfway. Timu. The referee was playing. That's the longest advantage been played at the World Cup.
Yes, it was good.
I wish he had played the advantage a little bit more on the second phase mauls, rucks and mauls, Keith.
Yes, allow the ball to be cleared again. He's too quick to blow up.
Okay, set near halfway. Bishop. And a little bit of a hurried kick there by Mark Wyatt. .22 metres line. Gordon McKinnon, number 7. Tynan. Back to Reese. Stay behind the 22. That one's deflected off John Kerwin, a knock on. Big New Zealand right winger here, John Kerwin out of Auckland. And a knock on there. Difficult ball to go for. Slippery conditions.
Technically, I didn't think it was a knock on. It hit his chest and bounced off.
It seemed to hit his upper body, didn't it?
And he didn't have an arm near it because he had his both hands almost on the ground to balance.
Scrum's gone around too far. Set again to come in. Eddie Evans on the near side against Richard Lowe in the front row battle. McDowell against Paul Zabo. Ennis, Tynan, Reese, Tommy Woods, McKinnon. Referee seen it going forward.
Yes, there was another grand tackle by Henderson. That's why it went forward. He smacked him back. Smacked Woods back.
Gord McKinnon, 33. Referee is acknowledging the problems for the front row, that it's hard to get the front row set with the ground so soft and slippery. Fox from Bishop. Good push into the corner. White looking a bit slow getting across that time. Obstruction further out. Obstruction further out. A penalty to New Zealand. Chance for more points. The obstruction is the referee's just explaining that it is not a kick to be taken at the 15-metre mark because the ball went out. It was obstruction of a player beyond the kicker, so the penalty is where the ball bounced. The obstruction was on Tuigamala.
Stewart was hanging on to Tuigamala. Just giving him a gentle pull back, just to slow him a wee bit. Stewart's obviously worried about the pace of the man. As he's a fullback, perhaps he's not quite as quick as he would like to be.
I don't believe this. Well, they see the referee having conversation with Inga Tuigamala. He is talking about the score in the game in Dublin. He's telling Inga Tuigamala about the score in the previous quarter-final in Dublin. He said, "Did you hear it?" Inga said, "No." He said, "Last-minute try for Australia, the one 1918. I don't believe that. Nice little exchange there between New Zealand's popular left winger Inga Tuigamala. But this is number 10, Grant Fox. Time gone in the game, 26 minutes. Three out of three for Fox. New Zealand are 15 and Canada are 0, and it's 26 minutes. Again, struck very well by New Zealand's ace goal kicker. To repeat, difficult footing for him to kick from, but he's found his form straight and true.
Yes, it's good kicking in that scrum. Have a look at that water coming up.
Well, that's a powerful advantage the New Zealand team have now. Up goes Gary Wetton contesting those kickoffs again. The ball has skidded in field. Reese kicking back. Fox is waiting. He's anticipated that well. Tynan to Wyatt.
Still good ground though, gained by Fox. He pumped it way back to Wyatt. And now, of course, it's New Zealand's ball in. Good tactic, did it deliberately.
So there he is, his 56th test today. No New Zealander has played more tests than him. Beats Colin Meads' record, which has stood for 20 years. Alan Wetton going high. He's claimed it well. He's having a good game today, Alan Wetton.
In the back of the line now, that's probably one area where they're going to play a lot of the ball, because if you remember, Glenn Noonan has played rugby with Grammar with the Wetton boys, and they probably know his abilities better than anybody else on the field.
Kick from Reese to Timu. He's done well at fullback, hasn't he, Timu? Starting off at a run. Where's he going to finish? Craig Innes. Oh, lovely hand off by Innes. Henderson was there, but it was slightly to the side of him. It's in control for Fox again. The deep skiddy kick across field. Glenn Innes. Oh, a big hit on him by Kerwin. And another Canadian player tumbles over. Now, we'll have to see what the referees ruled there, because Sean Fitzpatrick's been penalised. Look at this handoff by Innes. A really lovely fan on Tommy Woods. And then a strong charge. The ball came out to Fox. He kicked it across the field. Kerwin took Innes in a very hard tackle, and then Fitzpatrick, I think, pushed the next man over and was penalised. We may not see that if this replay is finished. It has. But Fitzpatrick penalised. A couple of silly things have happened there. That was the one earlier with Richard Lowe rucking after the whistle, and that one, you know, I wish those front rows wouldn't do that.
Well, as we know yesterday, the referee threatened to throw both front rows off the pitch.
Alan Wetton getting high. Norman Hadley. Henderson pulls him over. This is Ron Vandenbrink. Here's Ennis again. Storman Norman again, number 5. There he is, the big guy. Ross, Woods. Tommy Woods caught. The tackle was Craig Innes. Halfway mark. That's Gordon McKinnon. This is where Canada are at their best. And Reese kicks behind Timu. A hard one for him to claim, but he's getting back for it. Kerwin. Here's a wee look at some of the last parts of that. Gordon McKinnon here, who's a very strong and aggressive player. Made a good charge that time. Canada on attack here, 10 metres out.
Reese made a big mistake though.
Very good passage of play then. The body positions of the Canadians down in the Ruxton Moors are very, very good. They're far better than the All Blacks at this present time.
Lots of encouragement for the Canadians. Down by 15-0 against the current World Cup holders. Penalty for Canada. Playing the tackle ball on the ground, says referee Howard. Let's look at this again. Reese from the other side of the field, thrown down by Brook. And I think that somebody played the ball in there, and it happened, whatever it was, and a penalty out in front.
I thought in that passage of play, that just preceding that incident there, that Reese made a big mistake. He had about 5 backs out to his right on 2, and he still elected to stand still and drill for the touchline.
Well, that Earl is one of the areas where if you get players running off rucks and mauls, you commit backs to come in and you create holes in the defence. And Canadians are running close, creating the holes out wide, and they're actually not penetrating out wide. They're not putting the ball wide.
Well, that's a popular goal for Mark Wyatt. The crowd is very definitely siding with the underdogs here. And Mark Wyatt kicks it through the posts for 15 points to 3. And the time gone 32 minutes in the first half. There it is. Go Canada. Bilingual nation, of course, Canada, although most of these guys come from across in British Columbia. Norm Hadley was telling me that he's got actually got a French passport because of his mother is French. But very few of the players actually speak French. Loose ball lost by Al Sharon, number 6. Fed there by Vandenbrink to Tynan, and that's the knock on there. Here's the scrum. It's going to go to the left again. Not such a good blind. Zinzanbrook runs to the open, gets well in advance of where he should have been stopped by the Canadians. Basham has bustled hard, picked up by Innes. Innes caught again by Sharon. Bowen, no, he's not. Steve McDowell close to the post, and that'll be a 5-metre scrum. It's a knock-on, in fact, called by referee Fred Howard.
It wasn't a knock-on. It was ripped out of his hands. It was pulled back by a Canadian.
It was pushed back by a Canadian, wasn't it?
Yes, it was pulled out of his arms by a Canadian.
Alan Wetton, good little dispatch here to McDowell. Watch here, you'll see it pushed by a Canadian player forward. Punched out of his hands forward and over the line.
If we remember yesterday, Dave Bishop actually penalised that person for actually knocking the ball out of the hands.
Yes, he made a mistake. He just went for it a bit early. Had the ball have left the fellow's hands and knocked it down, it would have been a penalty, wouldn't it?
Defensive scrum for Canada. They're a bit lucky there to get the put in. And now they've got a penalty for Bishop being over keen.
One of the players in the Canadian side that I'm very impressed with, this is the first time I've really seen him, in live action, is that young halfback Chris Tynan. He's playing very well, and he's got a beautiful pass on him, and he's giving good service.
Chris Tynan, a 25-year-old, in his 10th Test match from the Marilomas club, debut in 1987, just after the Rugby World Cup. Steve McDowell, New Zealand's highest cap prop forward out of Auckland. The rain coming down steadily here in Lille, in the very north of France. Ian Jones going high. Bishop, Fox, trying to find Kerwin. Wetton has done good work in there again, Alan Wetton. Timu. Good kick by Timu. White will have to come outside the 22 to catch it, but can go back to clear, to touch.
What a competent footballer Timu is. Very good ball player. He went on the proverbial there.
Yep.
Still.
Eddie Evans at the front. Behind him, Ron Vandenbrink. Then Norm Hadley. Fox. Innes. Oh, referee has stopped that back move by New Zealand and is coming back to talk about a fight, I think. Ian Jones and Norm Hadley going to be spoken to by the referee. Well, what do you think of that decision, Earl? He stopped the flowing back movement to issue a warning about a fight. It's not really on, is it?
Well, yes, because he didn't think there was any advantage. If they were going to scrap, he's entitled to stop it. And he didn't penalise them. He just brought it back for a scrum.
Could have actually let the play go on and waited till they've gone to the next breakdown and then called something.
On the 22, Gord McKinnon. And Tynan hurries it out. There is Chris Tynan, 25 years of age. Very good goal kicker as well.
Well, Fred Howard's giving them a bit of a roasting at present. He's telling Gary Wetton, he's just said, Gary, tell your men to shut up. Must be a bit of back chat going on.
Sean Fitzpatrick throws. Bishop. Not straight. Two and a half minutes to go till the half-time break. Tynan away to Reese. That one's skied in field. Timu has been as safe as a house in this match so far. A big success at fullback, John Timu. Ian Jones, Alan Witten, deflected by Spears, the hooker. Wyatt. That's Gord McKinnon. He's had a good first half. But it's on the New Zealand side. Into the backs. Innes. Timu up from fullback. He's having a grand game. Henderson right there too. Now, can they spin it again? Brook. There's 4-on-2 out here. Innes kicking for the corner. Tuigamala up for the jump. Claimed by Scott Stewart. Moss forward.
Silly play though by Innes. Four men up against 2. He had to unload.
There have been possibly 3 or 4 opportunities where Craig could have passed, then he's gone for the gap, and he's actually looking for holes to go through, and he should be passing the ball.
Zinzan Brook, a cute little move, and the try is down for Zinzan Brook.
Well, that's the All Black specialty, isn't it? That scissors pass, time to perfection by Zinzan Brook.
Look at that one. It had the Canadians bamboozled. The gap opened up, and Zinzan Brook is in under the posts for his 5th try in Test rugby. And New Zealand are now 19-3. Look at this, the run by Bishop, the little pass back into McCahill, then straight to Brook. The 2 clubmates out of Auckland, McCahill and Brook, and Zinzan Brook into a big hole, running like he used to as a number 8 forward. And under the post, the try is converted 21-3 as half-time approaches.
And of course, on a wet, slippery pitch, it's very difficult too to be able to change your line as quickly as one would have liked. So it makes it a very effective move.
I think they've got that score incorrect, have they not? 21-3. Kick went over. I think you'll see it change to 21-3. He must be very happy and satisfied at the end of... There it is, right on halftime. There's the score corrected for you. 21-3 at the halftime break here in Lille. Second half coming up. Rugby World Cup quarterfinals. So it's a good lead for New Zealand as the second half is about to begin. Referee Fred Howard of England begins the second 40 minutes of this Rugby World Cup quarter-final from Lille in the north of France. Touchdown by Grant Fox, who's had a very good first half with 4 kicks out of 4 in the slippery conditions. And it's a very much more confident-looking New Zealand team at the end of 40 minutes of rugby today. They had a win against England by 18-12, and then we felt that they sort of stumbled their way to victories over the United States by 36-6, by 46-6, and by 31-21 over Italy. But they've looked more like their old selves today. Second half begins with Bishop nudging it up the touchline. And Scott Stewart has to let it go. It's a nice kick by the little Canterbury half-back.
It's a lovely left-footed nudge, wasn't it? I think it's very important for New Zealand's efforts too, and particularly today, to have a really hard game. They've had a couple of easy ones, and Canada are giving them that, and the conditions are helping too. It's really tough up front, and that's what one would want being an All Black coach.
There was pushing involved, pushing players away from Norman Hadley. Let's have a look. You see that man pushing in hard there, making it a clean jump for Hadley. That's a penalty offence. Fox kicking for position. David Spears, who was brought into the Canadian team just before the World Cup started after injury to another player. Fox kicks high. Wyatt's coming forward. A good one. Loose ball. Stewart. That's Scott Stewart. And Tynan makes the clearance, and a good one too by Chris Tynan.
Well, Canada always had that ball and that maul, really. It was just a matter of when they were going to release it, because they were going back at a rapid rate.
49-18 drive.
And there's the clearance by number 9, Chris Tynan.
49, slowly. Good job,
Henderson down and up. It's rolled away from them both. Gord McKinnon. Good charge by him. Vandenbrink, Tynan, Reese. They're passing the ball. Tommy Woods kicks it out towards Scott Stewart, towards Steve Gray on the left wing side. There's Tommy Woods, a veteran from the first Rugby World Cup of 1987. His 30th test match today in the Canadian colours.
Come on. Come on. Give it the dance, fellas. Play the ball. No whistle. Right now. Come on.
Well, that was more confident of Canada. They're actually running the ball inside their own half. And I think they have to. They have to take an odd risk now to try and get back into the game.
Reese. Kerwin's waiting into this one. Well taken. Good tackle on him by Gray. Sean Fitzpatrick, a strong run here. He's a tough character to stop, but he ran into Eddie Evans. Over the touchline he went.
28. Hang drive, boys.
Nice take by Hadley. Al Sharon, number 6. This is where the Canadians are good. Vandenbrink adds his weight. Big pack the Canadians have got. Tynan a kick. It's coming down short of the line. Kerwin's got back. Has taken it back, did he? 5-metre scrum. It was a hairline decision by the referee there. And we may see a replay of that. I think the referee is correct. I think he did take it back. Good chance here for Canada. Glenn Ennis is their number 8. There's a little delay this time by Chris Tynan. They're going for the pushover, are they? They're very close to the line. Now the scrum is wheeled right around.
Very good scrum by the Canadian team that time. I think if they can keep it straight, keep the All Blacks from wheeling, they could get a pushover try here. They're a big team.
They've got a big pack, about 40 kilograms more weight than New Zealand. See how difficult it is to get the footing. But there's a big scrum coming from the Blacks. And they've pushed Canada right off their mark. Look at that. The Canadians have cleared it, though. Reese into Fox. McKinnon. Good tackle on him by Kerwin. Tynan. Reese. Tynan again.
He's a big boy, that Reese, isn't he, at first 5'8"? He's got a big boot too.
All Blacks in defence. Bishop himself kicks. So that's eased the pressure on the line a bit.
This young boy McKinnon for Canada is playing very, very well. He's very constructive with the ball he does get. He's going straight forward. Players are latching onto him, and he's going to the ground straight over the top. Very good player.
Yeah, we're pleased to call him a young boy, Wayne. He's 33. Gord McKinnon.
Well, he looks young. He looks young.
You might have a chance yet. Here we go with out to win us for that left foot kick across field. Tuigamala, who hasn't had much chance to run today, gets to stretch out down the touchline. And then stands on the mark to prevent any thought of a quick throw-in. Innes kicks only off the left side, and that's a very useful weapon for the New Zealand team.
Yes, because it creates so much space. If you kick from centre, it's very hard to counter because wings have to come up and can't hang back in defence.
Good take there by Ron Vandenbrink. Now it's with Gareth Reese. Tuigamala and Timu. What a game Johnny Timu has had at fullback. What a game he's had. Difficult conditions, brought in as a sort of a second, third pick, and he has had a super game. Look how the rain is falling to make it even more difficult. But he has done nothing wrong, and he's done heaps that's been very, very good indeed. A lot of pushing there. Not straight, though, says referee Howard.
Well, Canada had a great chance of a pushover in the previous 2 scrums ago, and they lost concentration. And New Zealand really pushed them off the ball.
This is an area that's, I think it bothers a lot of players that the ball is under the number 8's feet and it goes down, and we want to get on with the game and they want to reset the scrum, the referee. So, it's a hard point.
Fox, high ball to midfield. McCarthy's put everybody inside, got up and got the tap to Alan Witten. Skidded away from his brother's dived on the ball. Series protects it nicely, but it went forward from Alan Witten. Good run by Alan Witten. He's bounced back with a good game here today, but you see it went forward there.
Yes.
Tynan back to Reese. Timu from the back. He's got lots of speed, lots of bounce. It's a little chip in the midfield. Sharona's there. So is Wyatt. Good tackle on Wyatt by Gary Witten. Basham. Innes. That's too wide. The referee, however, has blown them up and has reset it for a scrum for a knock-on. This is the best rugby I've seen from the Witten brothers in a long time. There's the little left footer again, out to the right side. Wyatt plays soccer along the touchline. Good kick too by Wyatt.
You don't have to kick it far on a wet day like this, and this would be better to go right up to the hole and just grubber it through. It's a great day to keep the ball on the deck and don't give it any height at all. And you could control the length of the ball too, put more pressure on.
Bishop. Fox. In to Wyatt from Steve Gray. Lovely kick by Wyatt. Beautiful kick by Mark Wyatt. A super kick from just inside the 22, and he sent it down almost to the other 22. 21 points to 3. There's been no scoring in the second half. The game is now 10 minutes old. Well claimed by Henderson. Down onto the floor, grabbed it. Alan Witten, Basham. Gray waiting. Kerwin gets him. Little Steve Gray from the Vancouver Cats Club. This is his 13th international. Very fast. Thrown by Fitzpatrick. Palm by Hadley. Players are offside. New Zealand have the option of the penalty there or the scrum upfield.
Here's another scrum with a wide blind side. Timu's moving across to the right too, outside your picture.
So there's Timu, outside Kerwin, you see. And there's the kick for Timu down the sideline.
They are playing quite well. The All Blacks are playing well. They're going from set piece to set piece and just nudging the ball up the field. They've gone from their own 22 down to the Canadian 22 just by putting the ball down the blind sides. this could be an area, Earl, that they might bring in John Kerwin outside first 5'8" or inside second 5.
Yes, and you get the big wide view. That's a good view now where you can all see at home.
There's Kerwin up behind the scrum to the left. Is he in the game? Looks like he might be. You'd think Wayne Shelpert's played this game before somehow.
He threw the ball away though, Kerwin did. It was he wasn't passing with much confidence in there at all that time.
Basham, well picked up by Basham. Kerwin flying at the corner, and the big guy's in. His 30th try in Test rugby. That increases his New Zealand record. Lovely pickup by Basham. Nice pass, popped it up. Kerwin running hard onto it. Got enormous strength. He's played with a lot of zest and aggression today as Kerwin. And that's a good run in for the New Zealand right winger. That's the first points of the second half.
Yes, very good try. They changed direction. John Kerwin hit on the outside, coming to the open. Then the second phase was set up, and they went back to the blind again. And John was in the line, got the ball, and basically it was a certain try all the way.
Although Timu being outside certainly helped his cause a lot, because as you can see, Gray hung off and watched Kerwin, and 10 yards short of the goal line. You should never do that. You've got to go for the ball carrier.
One thing about what's in the game today, the All Blacks are playing basic rugby, and that's where their strength is, in playing basic football. When they start getting pretty flowery, throwing the ball around, that's when they start making mistakes. But they're playing a very good basic game plan today, and they're playing very well to it.
Yes, they're sticking to the plan.
Fox. That's his first miss today, just dropped under the bar. 25 points to 3.
Just see the amount of water he kicked up when he hit it though. Look at this. Look at that water.
Looks good from here, but just dropped in front of the post. You notice the Canadians use a tee. There it is, being spun off to the side. It's a drop kick this time. So the tee is thrown away to the touchline, but that's an actual fact a contribution to the game of rugby invented by Canada by the former Canadian fullback Don Burgess. And the Tetley tee has been widely used in Canadian rugby. I think it's a good idea. Mark Wyatt specialises in using just a little plastic disc on the ground to place the ball. It's not widely seen in other parts of the rugby world. Well done, Eddie Evans. Good charge to the 22. Tynan away to Reese. Long ball out to Christian Stewart. The ball's gone forward. The advantage may apply. Kerwin takes it into the setup. Staying on his feet. Fed to Zinzanbrook. Around the narrow side by Basham. Again, that's what Wayne Shelpert's been telling us. The All Blacks are at their best playing good, controlled rugby. Very controlled rugby. And, they're getting the points on the board through it. Just playing simple rugby. Hooked back on the Canadian side to Tynan. Stadium Nord in Lille in the north of France. The losing team from this game heads home in the next 48 hours. The winners go on to a match in Dublin against Australia. New Zealand currently leading here by 25-3. We hope you're enjoying this live telecast coming to you from Television New Zealand's One World of Sport team. Al Sharon from the Ottawa Irish Club, the only non-British Columbia player in the Canadian team. Kicked through by Woods.
Well, again, they had Med to Burn outside. And they were reluctant to use them. Canada, they had 3-on-1 out wide. And Reece seems to have a lack of confidence in the ability of his outside men to run, I think. But they look big enough, and on a wet day like this, if you're big and strong, you don't have to be that quick.
Well, Christian Stewart's played about 50 games for Western Province down in South Africa, I understand. There's Henderson taking on big Norm Hadley there.
He's put in a lot of tackles today as Henderson.
Glenn Ennis, Tynan, nice little move out for Scott Stewart.
They've been watching Bashett from Zinzambrook do the same move. Nice little flick.
Scott Stewart scored the only try in their opening win over Fiji. There's Glenn Ennis. Nice little pass to Tynan. It was a well-executed move. A push forward by Tynan. Scott Stewart after it, but they ran out of room.
Probably throw the ball to Zinzambrook in this position here.
Yes, indeed, Wayne. Rowan Shelford's read the book, ladies and gentlemen. Picked up by Eddie Evans here. The Canadians have got it, a good run. Taken in by David Spears, the hooker. Canada playing well here. Ron Vandenbrink has the ball. Look at this. All the big heavies coming in now. And Gord McKinnon charging for the line. Good rally here by Canada. That's the line there. And Tynan is over. A marvellous reception for that try for Chris Tynan. There he is, getting it at the end of a strong forward drive. Found a hole and dived through it. And Canada have scored a try, 25-7. What a marvellous reception they're getting, the Canadians.
Well, yes, well, a lot of kilojoules of energy being shoved in there. Look at all that flesh, giving it heaps. And a wee hole in. Very simple try, really, but tremendous pressure by the Canadians. They really put it on them.
Wyatt with the kick. It's hit the post and bounced away, 25-7. There it is again, a last look at a popular try here from the end on as Chris Tynan gets across. His 10th test match.
Yes, well, he's played very well all through as Tynan, and he deserved that try.
3/4 of the game gone. Al Sharon taking it in hard again. My word, it was tough in there. You see the players generally going over and trying to find some ground to put their feet on. And some pushing and shoving there. Starting again, out of line out. This is the first full international between New Zealand and Canada. Last time the two teams met in 1980 was in Vancouver, but New Zealand didn't award caps. Canada did. New Zealand played in Vancouver in 1989 against British Columbia. Basham. Wyatt coming forward.
Great hit by Henderson again.
Scott Stewart.
Another one. That Dennis has bowled 2 of those bags. Scott Stewart.
Big pressure,
the winger.
Big pressure by New Zealand now.
I think the try that the Canadians have just scored, it's really gone up the All Blacks' nose, and they're starting to come back with a bit of fire now. And I think it's about time we actually saw the All Blacks give a bit of the performance today.
So here they have the chance with an attacking scrum. Kerwin away to the right. It's a high kick from Basham. Gray is under it. So is Woods. They're all the jumpers up, the hands. Gareth Rees took it in. And Reese gives it a healthy thump to touch. He's the 24-year-old. He's played a lot in New Zealand in the Cairns series, which is the Canada, Argentina and New Zealand series. He's been down a number of times, played in the last World Cup.
And you could say about him that he has an educated boot, Keith.
Basham finds Fox. McCarthy, so that's Innes in the inside centre game. Taken well forward. Alan Wetton has dispatched it well. Kerwin, he's got Timu there with him. Timu doing the job they've asked for him. Made his pass to Zinzenbrook to Fox. They're moving it wide. Henderson puts in the tactical kick for Inga. Tuigamala through on Wyatt. And Tynan, oh, he should have kicked there. He gets buried by McDowell. It's with the Canadians. Ron van den Brink. Tynan kicks this time. Fox traps it. Oh, beautifully done by Fox. Into Inga. Tuigamala, hard man to stop. Very hard man to stop.
He is stopped.
Finally stopped. Fox, high one, heading out towards the goalposts. Gray gets it. Running into trouble there. All sorts of bother for Canada. Somebody ran into the goalpost there, I think. Sean Fitzpatrick. They're looking at him. I wonder if they're going to look at the goalpost. There's Gray. Charge around there.
Yes, he did.
Hit the goalpost with his shoulder.
Yes.
And there's the other goalpost getting a tough time. What a run by Inga Tuigamala. Powerful stuff. He looks ferocious with the new haircut. Pushing off man after man.
Isn't he awful to mark? I'd hate to have.
But when he was coming down on Mark Wyatt, it reminded me that in 1989, Mark Wyatt played in the wing for British Columbia and marked Inga Tuigamala. And Wyatt told me afterwards at the team dinner, he did not enjoy the experience one bit. Ennis, look at this, brave stuff from Canada. Reese running it out from behind their line. Timu back. Johnny Timu took the tackle.
It was the right thing to do. He got close to his ally and his friend there, the touchline, and knew that if anything happened, he could either just kick it out or slide out. Again, good play.
A good chase by Scott Stewart up the touchline. Nice, courageous play by the Canadians from behind their goal line. Tynan, away to Reese. Try to get past McCahill and Fox. Innes made the tackle, in fact. El Sharon. It's gone to the New Zealand team now. McDowell takes it away. Runs straight into McKinnon, a very good Canadian flanker. Good vigorous game now.
For the conditions, it's been very entertaining in the last 15 minutes. Both teams are trying to throw the ball now and getting a good opportunity. Canada come well out of their line and playing very, very well at the moment.
Tynan. Time gone in the game, 27 minutes. Reese lets it go this time. That's Steve Gray, the winger, in there. So New Zealand have had slightly more of the possession. Basham, well-channeled Zinzanbrook. McCarhill. Steve Gray.
Still making that basic error of putting it into the air. It should be on the ground.
Canada running it. Not too many backs out there. Tommy Woods, buried by Zinzanbrook. There's a head-high tackle, in fact, by Zinzanbrook on Tommy Woods. Now, Tommy Woods got up and had a go at Zinzanbrook, so the referee changed his mind on the head-high tackle.
It wasn't very bad either.
Oh, it wasn't very bad at all.
Much of a head high. It was more around his shoulders.
.28 minutes gone, second half. 25-7, New Zealand lead. Just one try each in the second half. Oh, some fighting and punching there from Hadley, and players looking back at the touch judge. Good catch by Kerwin. There's John Timu again. What a hero he's been. Look at this again. We might see those punches in there. When Hadley, there he goes, jumping over him, and there we see Boof.
Pretty much the open hand. Bit of a slap rather than a whack.
No matter what Canada do today, whether they win or lose, they're going to be winners today, just like Samoa yesterday. Favourites with the crowd.
Yes, indeed. It's been a stout showing by Canada.
Yes, I thought they'd fade in the last 10 minutes, but have a look at them.
Away goes Eddie Evans. Tynan, the try scorer, up to McKinnon. Tynan again. Canada going strongly here. Fox has grabbed him. Carried on by McKinnon. Hello, there's a fight out in the middle of the field, and this is not such a good sight to see. Way across to the left, there is trouble. Out of the picture to the left, there is fighting. And the referee is going to speak to someone. This is the run by Eddie Evans, and the referee is talking to David Spears. Strong tackle on him there. Zabo took out another player, and I think that might be where the trouble started.
Yes, the Canadian took out Zinzanbrook and took him out without the ball, and consequently Zinzanbrook retaliated.
So referee Fred Howard now speaks to referee Owen Doyle. You see him putting his hand over the microphone so we can't hear, but we got news from Mr. Doyle. We can hear. And Mr. Hilditch on the near side, he wants to have his 5 penneth worth. Okay, he's been formally cautioned, has David Spears, on the recommendation of the touch judge. Well, I'm sad to see that, because it's been a game played in good spirits. New Zealand and Canadians, they're good blokes, they love the game, so it's been a bit fiery. This is the best way to reply, is to run hard and tough. John Kerwin looking strong out on that right wing today. This is the other side of the field, and a bit of a shoulder charge on him there. Well, the referee is telling them, boys, you know me, somebody will go if there's any more. So
his friends laid it down again.
Well, he sent a man off in the last World Cup, David Cody of Australia at Rotorua. He sent a whole hatful off in his international career. I think we've decided it was about 5 in full test matches he's marched.
Well recovered by Wetton, and he set it up well for New Zealand.
It's a bit of a niggly game at the moment. These guys are taking a risk in pushing and shoving and fighting with each other, because Fred Howard will send them off. He's got the record to show that.
The All Blacks, Keith, have just got to settle down and get on with their own game and forget about the niggle, and they're big enough and good enough to be able to play without it.
Oh, look at McKinnon go! What a match he's had, the 33-year-old flanker, Gord McKinnon.
Yes, again, taking the ball, taking the player out, going past the ball and taking him out.
What a lovely run by McKinnon. He's had a great match.
Yes, he's a strong lad. It was a good run, wasn't it? Well laid back here.
There's the penalty award. It's against Al Sharon for taking out a player. The crowd are giving the referee a tough time there. I wonder if this being a sort of a soccer region, whether they're not quite as well versed in the laws of the game. Look at this for a lovely run. On the other side of the field, the picture of Gord McKinnon. He's given it everything today. Palmed there by Glenn Ennis, the young man who played 2 seasons in Auckland. He was telling me before the game that he used to share a house with Craig Innes, who's playing for New Zealand today. This is way back in their junior days. They weren't to know then that they'd be playing in the World Cup against each other. Now here's an overlap for New Zealand. Basham running. Innes. Timu outside him. Timu flying for the corner. And how appropriate. Timu scores it. Out, all of a sudden there was an overlap. 3-on-2. Basham made the pass. Innes, look at their eyes wide and looking for the gaps. Tuigamala came in field. Innes made the pass and Timu had the work to do, and at one stage he tipped forward and fell short of the line, but momentum got him across. The Canadian defenders were flying at him and momentum got him there.
Just
try for
Timu. It was a good run. It was hard luck for the Canadians, though. They lost the ball on that maul after setting it up. But still another lovely run by the man who can do no wrong today, Timu.
Oh, well,
his feet were almost there.
Could have been out before he actually crossed the line. We have to watch that again on a real slow replay.
A bit short again from Fox. Another great kick. It's hard to lift the ball late in the game. Here is Timu again. Here comes the debate. Did he get his ball down before his feet went out? He fell short of the line. Well, you be the judge. 29 points to 7.
You can take your picks there, can't you?
You can. That would be a good debate. Well, one thing is incontestable, and that is the marvellous influence on the game by John Timu of Otago. Basham, another South Islander, handling the ball out to the inner left footer. Tuigamala wants to get in the game. Now there is Mark Wyatt meeting Inga Tuigamala. I told you about the game in '89 when Wyatt played in the wing for BC, and they met again.
The immovable object.
That's right. The lights are on in the stadium. It's pretty dark elsewhere, and 4 minutes to play in the game. Canada have had their moments. That ball's gone forward. (29-7). There is the scrum situation. 29-7. It's easily New Zealand's best performance at the Rugby World Cup. Fox. Glenn Ennis waiting. Taken in fact by Al Sharon, the flanker. Reese. Long ball straight out to Wyatt. Christian Stewart. Henderson diving about all over the place.
Yes, but he got there to flick it up. He's had a good game, Henderson. Put in some good big tackles.
Basham.
Inga Tuigamala. Look at this. It takes about 3 of them to get him down. Well played, Alan Wetton, who got across there. Zinzan Brook. The touch judge has his flag up. Well, Gary Wetton marks his 56th match with an excellent performance today, and his brother as well, number 6, getting out, flicking it up there to Fox, to Richard Lowe. That one's gone to open country. Bishop finds Inga. The crowd have taken to Inga Tuigamala. Vanden Brink to Svoboda. To Zabo, sorry.
Well, I thought that the Canadian forwards, as I said before, might run out of a bit of puff, but they've been superbly prepared. They're still going for it. What a good performance.
Deflected by Gary Wetton. Confusion at the front. Here's a good old-fashioned foot rush by Canada. Penalty for Canada. In the last minute of the game now, Canada chance their arm. Somebody is down, attended by the New Zealand physio David Abercrombie. Is that Paul Henderson again, is it?
No, it's Fox.
I think it's Grant Fox. Down.
Grant Fox is down.
Yes, he'd have got a knee when he went down on that ball because they were sliding into him. Here he goes down round about here with this.
There is
down
Fox
now. And that knee came into his back, but it was accidental.
Oh, yeah.
Split into him.
Number 1, Eddie Evans took it up. Glenn Ennis, close to the line. Tynan, Hadley, the big fella. They call him Stormin Norman. Christian Stewart. That's a Scott Stewart. That's the good little kick. Close to the corner flag. Penalty out in midfield to Canada. That's the kick that Earl Curtin's been talking about, the one that's along the ground on a day like today. It becomes like a piece of soap, impossible to stop. McKinnon, close to the line. Tynan. Reese. Sharon. El Sharon. Good pressure play late in the game by Canada. Nice pass by Reese to flanker El Sharon from the Ottawa Irish Club, the only player from outside British Columbia. Crashes across. That'll keep the game alive in that part of Canada.
Yes, it will.
Big El Sharon crashes across, a very popular score. It's 29-11.
It was well played by Canada. They played very well right through that period of play leading up to it. The last 4 or 5 minutes put pressure on the All Blacks, won some quick rucks, as you say, slid the ball along the ground, and Chase almost scored with the grubber kick and then set it up from there and didn't go for goal, went for the 6-pointer.
The Canadians are playing like men possessed, and I think they thoroughly deserve their second try. If anything, one of the things the All Blacks should have done is they should have made the tackles around the legs, not up top, where you're going to slide off the players in wet conditions.
Gareth Reese converts the try. It's 29 points to 13 at the end. The All Blacks go through to the semi-finals of the Rugby World Cup.